back with Marvin Daniels, Tim Grimes here, with probably just like an angry rant video, judging from the energy that I am carrying. Marvin, right now, you're laughing. So Marvin made a great video the other day. I'll put a link above to it, actually, about something that he's noticed a lot. I've noticed a lot. Marvin likes to touch upon a lot when we work with clients, just about the difference between, like, generally speaking, masculine energy and feminine energy. By the way, if you're new here, we do SP coaching together. Marvin and I do. There's a link below if you want to fill out a questionnaire to see if you're a good fit to work with us. We'll give you a free consultation to see if you are. But anyway, Marvin and I, we ain't bullshitters. And, it's obviously kind of a loaded subject when you talk about masculine, feminine energy, especially when you're in a space where most of the coaches are female. And we can interpret that, those terms very literally or more metaphorically, right? But I think most people watching this video, if you have common sense, would agree there is these, these two different forces. There's a more masculine energy and a more feminine energy. Generally speaking, men manifest, this more masculine energy, and women manifest this more feminine energy. And this is really obvious, yet in the manifest your specific person space, it's really not discussed intelligently by many people. So Marv made a great video about that the other day. And it's something we're really seeing a lot of like both male and female clients and people who just get on to free calls with us to see if we can help them. A real common issue is people being kind of unaware of how their feminine energy or masculine energy is blocking their manifestation, blocking the romantic relationship they want from happening. So Marv, I just am curious, if you want to expand upon any of that.
Yeah, well, before I get into all of that, I want to say thank you to everybody. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. So thank you. I appreciate that. Also, too, Tim and I have a free webinar coming up.
Yeah.
October 7th, right? At 5 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want to ask, SP questions or anything, because Tim and I, we work with SP clients, but I mean, we work with anybody really that wants to
go deep
and manifest anything, business, relation, money, any type of thing. So, but yeah, we have a free Zoom webinar. We'll leave the information for that in the description below. But yeah, so this whole masculine feminine thing, and it's funny because this subject is very touchy, for reasons that I understand. It's something that is ignored, but I think it's something that is a very fundamental part of the LOA process. When you look at nature, to me, nature, if you pay attention to nature, you pay attention to the world, everything to me comes back to balance. It's like homeostasis. It's like when something is off, when something sways too far to the left or too far to the right, something happens to try to get you back to that center level. And to me, that has a lot to do with, masculine, feminine energy. And I think it's inescapable. You hear about things like the Fibonacci pattern and stuff like that, where there's basically in nature, you'll notice that flowers and the plants and the trees and the roots, the tree trunks of a tree, you'll notice that they all have the same amount of numbers of petals, or, it'll double after a certain amount. It's just weird. And I just attribute that to this whole being in balance. And I attribute that to this whole masculine, feminine dynamics. And it's not necessarily, obviously we coined the term man and women, but you could be a man and be very much feminine, right? You could be a woman and be very much masculine. So it's not really gender based. It's really just more of how you feel, because like I said in my video that Tim said he would, leave the link in, and I've said in past videos as well. It's more of a this is the same thing in lesbian relationships or gay relationships as well. That masculine feminine dynamic is there, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. It is there in heterosexual relationships, and then it's there if you are in same-sex relationships as well. And I just noticed that to me, the message, I just noticed that, and you could tell me how you feel, Tim. I noticed that men, in my mind, I feel like men, we approach this SP topic different than women do. And I think coaches as well. I think a lot of the coaches, if you're a male coach versus a female coach, it seems to me from what I'm hearing from clients, what I'm seeing in videos when I used to watch a lot of content, the way the message is being delivered is very much different if it's a male coach versus a female coach. And I'm not saying this to sound misogynistic or whatever, because I know a lot of times people like to throw that word around there when these conversations come up. But it's just an observation that I noticed. And I think it's with good reason that I noticed that. And it's because, I just think that we're different. I just think that the way a lot of men approach law of attraction versus the way women, a lot of may approach law of assumption, the way we just approach these, the taking action part, I guess, in a different way necessarily. And, like I said, working with our one client, he kind of opened my eyes and made me realize that, like, you know, a lot of people, the male side of things really is missing, and um, is needed in this space just as much as the female side is. But I think people really like hearing the male perspective, especially when it comes to like taking action and not sitting around waiting and being passive, which is what a lot of people get from these LOA teachings is, oh, I don't have to do anything. So I guess that's what I would have to say about all of that.
Yeah, it does seem really out of balance. And again, if you watch Marvin's video, he was just alluding to a client that we were working with over the last month, who, said basically, he's like, it's just been kind of nice to speak to guys about this because he's like, basically, like, I haven't heard like a real masculine
And
perspective.
he worked with a woman coach before.
Right. He was very
Yeah.
well versed. This is not like a newbie or anything like that. Very well versed of the space. Just think it's just different to hear a masculine perspective on this specific person topic. And it is. And, you made the great point in your video, Marvin, that like, that's, again, not to knock these female creators or coaches that are talking about this SP stuff from a feminine perspective. That's very, very much needed. But it does seem like the scale is way out of balance, where there's virtually no masculine manifest your SP advice. And, whether it's whether you're male or female, whether you think you have more masculine energy or feminine energy, there's just not a lot of masculine energy oriented coaches, which is what, we tend to be. Our advice tends to be more masculine energy, like in terms, like you said, of taking action and leading a lot of the time. And we tell female clients all the time to take action and to lead, right? So this isn't just like us working with men telling them to take action. It's overall. But yeah, I've just really noticed speaking with people that this huge like either ignorance or just intentional obliviousness to that, these rather obvious energy patterns. If you know anything about it, and you've done relationship coaching before, as Marvin and I have, and you step back some and you're like, well, the main issue that you're facing right now is the masculine feminine energy is all thrown off. We see this with a lot of our female clients, where they are basically made or have made themselves assumed, if you want to use that word, a more masculine energy than they would like, because they want to be in their feminine in the relationship. But
Right.
they've had to assume a more masculine energy,
Right.
and their partner is acting more feminine than they would like, more passive, not leading enough. And so, we help them. One of the main things we do is help them have a conversation, hopefully, with their partner to make this more apparent to them. Because a lot of these guys they're in a relationship with, while the woman is being masculine, she wants to be more feminine. And the guy actually doesn't want to be passive. He wants to be more masculine, but he feels emasculated in some ways. And so an open conversation with, between partners will hopefully help rectify it. Right. But yeah, it's a pretty touchy subject. I think this is off camera after our interview with Anya. She was basically saying how Marv and I have to, she was commending us for being in this space as dudes, but we honestly really haven't been called out that much for being dudes. We're called out for a lot of other things. but people have been very respectful of that because I think they understand where we're coming from. And at the end of the day, we're not misogynist.
She was alluding to
So
the video that we made, her and I made a while ago, a long time ago, where people had kind of attacked me. Yes, and I were saying the same thing, but for some reason, all the women in the video attacked me and didn't attack her. So that's why she was like, she commends us for doing this in this space because she knows how hard it is being a guy in this dominated space. Because predominantly, like, yes, I think most of her clients have been women, and most of my clients that I've worked with before I started working with Tim were also 90+% women. And so it's very hard as a man sometimes trying to get your point across without, a woman might necessarily getting offended, you know what I mean? That type of thing.
yeah, right. And it's just really interesting. And it also ties in. We've said this a lot. I beat the dead horse here, but like male clients, especially young male clients that like have never been married before, like under 35s. It's great you're into this SP law of assumption advice. I think it's wonderful that you're into Neville and Joseph Murphy, hopefully, if you've actually read them or whatever, if you're a young male, because you get to kind of integrate that golden rule type stuff that they talk about so beautifully in their books and in their lectures. But most young guys who are heterosexual and looking for a female partner, as great as that Neville and Joseph Murphy advice is, most of those dudes need just like straight up, like more masculine alpha dating advice.
For sure.
And then once you get into the relationship, that's when it's going to be really important to integrate the Neville, the Murphy, the golden rule, all that great stuff. The stuff that Florence talks about, the HM and Katie talks about, that kind of stuff, the spiritual side. But to get into the relationship, a lot of the time it's like, dude, you got to get off your butt, off your butt and initiate, lead, you know what I mean? And that takes some courage and that takes some, cultivating certitude. But that's like the main thing. So actually traditional, more like just good masculine dating advice often helps a lot of these SP male clients a lot.
And even female. Because
like you said
earlier, Tim, if people were to just work with us and if they were to just listen to our whole masculine, feminine energy advice, that alone, like we don't even have to touch on SP stuff, like, or techniques. Right. That alone, if some of you would listen to the masculine, feminine stuff Tim and I teach, that alone will help you be successful, most likely in your relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's such a big thing. And again, like, I mean, we're not trying to be overly so. Like, I hate those dickwad dudes who talk about like masculine energy, like on YouTube and
exactly.
Stuff. Like, fuck those fucks.
We're not like, we're not, that's not what we mean.
But like when like, I will say, like, when we make some of our more gruff videos, which just has not been thus far, but like when I make a car video and I'm angry, we were talking about this last week. I did that SP video and I was pretty blunt. No one even comments because I'm masculine in that video. And if you come back at me with some fucking dumbass comment, you're gonna sound like a moron. And that's like, so maybe we need more of that because like we're gentle dudes, right? But like this SP space, when you start talking theory or whatever, everybody's you pushed out. You know what I mean? Go jump in a lake. Like use common sense, be a good person. That's the most important thing. Anyway, we have a client we have to meet with, but anything you want to finish up with, Marv, before we go?
No, sir.
All right. Yeah. So if you're serious about doing some SP work, fill out that questionnaire. And like Marv said, we're doing a free webinar seminar October 7th, 5 p.m. Eastern. That Zoom link is below. Hope to see you there. Until next time, stay lovely.